I can prove that God exists to anyone who is honest with themselves. All life contains genes and proteins. These genes are this functional information made up of nucleotides into functional sequences. All right. Proving that nucleotides can come about naturally and connect to each other does not prove abiogenesis or chemical evolution or, it doesn't negate the need for a creator. All right. Proteins, which are made up of amino acids, showing that amino acids could come about naturally, which is what the Miller-Urey experiment did, does not prove that life could create itself. Those amino acids have to be put into functional sequences. So many of you have sent me scientific papers and you've sent me things, and none of them show that nature could put nucleotides into functional sequences for genes, for DNA, for RNA, functional DNA, RNA, and functional genes. And none of them show me that amino acids would arrange themselves into functional sequences necessary for life. And you need both of them. If you have just the functional information for life, you have just genes, well, you need proteins to turn those into other proteins or structures. All right. If you just have proteins, well, that's nothing, because you need that information recorded so that more could be made. If nature were by accident to make a functional protein, well, that wouldn't matter because you need the record for it. And so what you need is a simultaneous evolution of functional information in proteins, and that would never happen because you're talking about a very long sequence that has to be functional in the hundreds, right? Not all of them in the hundreds, but some proteins I think are even 1,000 amino acids long. So you're talking about this long sequence that has to be functional. Now, here's some things that atheists try to say. There's this dumb belief by Richard Dawkins, I believe, and Brian Cox, that if monkeys were typing on a typewriter for an infinite amount of time, they would eventually come up with Shakespeare, works of Shakespeare. And that's ridiculous. And here's why. They're thinking about it in the wrong way. They're thinking that all possible outcomes would come about. And I disagree. And here's why. Nature doesn't keep a record. Nature doesn't say, well, I've already tried that and that didn't work, right? Nature's just randomly connecting nucleotides and amino acids, and these monkeys would just be randomly typing. They're not keeping track and saying, well, we already tried that. Let's change this. Right. And so you need to look at it in this way. In order for monkeys to type out a work of Shakespeare, they would have to make sure it's mistake free. There are no mistakes in it. Right. That's where monkeys can't do that. They can't look at what they're typing and avoid mistakes. Nature doesn't know it's trying to produce genes. Nature doesn't know it's trying to produce functional proteins when it's connecting nucleotides for the genes and amino acids for the proteins. And therefore, it's not trying to make it mistake-free. It's just connecting them randomly together. And I made a video called The Atheist Test where I tell you to try the same thing. Randomly type blindly on a computer without autocorrect, in roughly 200 characters or so, and see if you can come up with a functional paragraph. It's not going to happen. You could come up with some 3-letter words. It's hard to get a 4-letter word. It's hard to get words in a row. It's hard to get a complete sentence, let alone a paragraph. And that's what would be equivalent to coming up with functional genes and functional proteins. And even if nature could do that, it has to get them to work together, which would be very hard. So I proved God. That is the proof. It's not that I proved God. I'm just pointing out what nature is, what we see in life, and that nature cannot produce that. So may you be honest with yourself, and may you realize that nature cannot put things in functional sequences without a mind. All right. Just like you randomly typing blindly, just pecking at a computer, you would not be able to make a functional paragraph. Nature would not be able to put these nucleotides in functional sequences or amino acids into functional sequences. But here's what this doesn't mean. All right. For you to say that we were created is being honest. And I hope you're honest with yourself. If not, you're a liar. And I'm going to start calling atheists liars after they hear this. Right. So I might make a video called Atheists are Liars. And in the video, I'll say, I'll explain these things and I'll say, well, now if you say there's no creator, you're a liar. All right. And so what it doesn't mean is it doesn't mean that you've got to adopt a religion. You can say that we don't know who the creator is, right? You're just following evidence one at a time. And right now, you know that there is a creator based on what I just told you. The other thing is this does not refute biological evolution. You could say that the creator, whoever it was, or creators, started, I would say it would have to at least have made bacteria, archaea, and the eukaryotic cells, which bacteria are prokaryotic cells. Because I know they think that prokaryotic cell swallowed another prokaryotic cell and that made it a eukaryotic cell. But man, there's just some, start really looking at what happens inside of a cell. And you're going to be like, yeah, I don't think that happens. So I believe a creator at least had to make those cells. And then you could say that biological evolution took over. But please be honest with yourself. Don't be a liar. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to other people and say that there is no creator. And here's another thing I'm noticing. If you are doing that, if you're ignoring the science and saying that there is no God and you're spreading that message, do you realize you're probably causing divorces? Because I read something today and an atheist posted, that a lady was stressed and she was trying to teach her, or she was trying to convince her husband who left the faith to come back to the faith, and the atheist put the divorce as the option, and so you guys are breaking up marriages by lying to people. I understand if you're just telling the truth, and people do need to know the truth, but you're lying to people and telling them that there is no creator. So please be honest with yourself. There is a God, there is a creator, because nature could not put nucleotides or amino acids into functional sequences.